and start up one of these here. We're going to go to ad hoc, and we're going to create a worksheet here, just as I said. So the first thing you do is you go to the ad hoc tab and you double-click worksheets. This is going to pull up a basic outline of a worksheet. You see on the left is your tree. So your tree is composed of two different things. You have a common dimension, which is your patient. So this is going to be things that are basically common across all instance data. So a patient is always going to be something that exists for anything, whether it be an encounter, a task, a problem. It's always going to be tied back to the patient somehow. Whereas instance data is a little bit different. So one patient could have many problems. So if you do a worksheet where you're going to be pulling in problems, which is what we'll be doing, you'll see that there'll be many instances of problems, but there will only be one patient for those different instances. When we maximize patient here, we see a number of different options too within it. Demographics, location, flags, identification. These are different things that we'll get into a little bit. This is something I definitely suggest, playing with. The only way to truly learn is to actually dig into the tree and kind of understand it. But it's definitely a more intuitive model than actually trying to figure it all out from the Works database where it hasn't been transformed into one of these analytic searches. So first thing we want to do here is let's go ahead and make a search where we can see all the patients, who their providers are, the patients' ages, as well as the problems they've had in ICD-9 diagnosis codes for those problems. So first thing we're going to do, let's pull in the patients. I'm going to maximize patient, maximize identification, and double-click on patient full name. You see that automatically drops it over there onto your worksheet. Next thing we're going to do is we want to find out the provider as well. So let's minimize identification, and you see there's a primary care provider area right there, which you can maximize and pull up the PCP full name right there. Double-click, and it gets dropped automatically into there. Next piece we want to do is also the patient age. So if I just look into identification, patient age, double-click it, drop it over there as well. And so those are basically two pieces that are tied to the patient, right? So that's going to be a common dimension across any types of instances or encounters or anything of that sort. The next thing we were talking about is we want to see what kind of problems these patients have been having. So let's maximize problem real quick, and this is just going to be the name of the problem, and something that most people are interested in is the ICD-9 diagnosis code. So the first thing you would think that you could do is just come up here and hit the play button. But like I said, we'll have to associate this to a search first. So you end up seeing that you can play that if you have a search in context, which in this case I did. But what we really want to be doing is building a search from scratch. So I'm going to go ahead and go to search here and hit new search so that we actually have a completely blank one here. Now if I come in over here, and it's a very simple way of doing a search is what we're going to do is called a quick search. So if I just come up to identification, and I'm sorry, if I come to flags, this is going to be a basic search that you're always going to want, really. And it's going to be a search where you're actually going to want to be able to have only patients that are active and only patients that are alive. So you basically want to get rid of deceased patients as well as patients that aren't active in your system. So as I was saying, we're going to go ahead and pull in a quick search so we're able to quickly do searches on this patient. Something that you're going to end up finding that you're going to want to be doing a lot is just having a base search that you always work off of. So we're going to call that base search the active and alive search. So if we maximize patient on the common dimension and flags, you'll see that there's an is deceased flag. If you right click on there and you do a quick search here, we can set this equal to something or not equal to something, whatever you want to set it to. For this case, is deceased flag, we want that equal to no because we only want patients that are alive. Just hit no and then hit enter and it gets added for you. Same thing is inactive flag. We'll right click it, go to quick search. This time let's try it with not equal and say, let's say it is not equal to yes, because if a patient is yes, is inactive, then they're not active in your system. It's not somebody that you typically want to see showing up. We can go ahead and look at the search here. If I just click search and go to edit search, you're going to see that we now have the search that I created in context. So you see that over on the left side, you'll have patient is deceased flag equal to no, ANDed with patient is an active flag, not equal to yes. If you want to add anything else to it, you can just click right here at that chart, at the tree right there, I'm sorry, and you can start pulling in whatever pieces that you want. So as I said, I really like to have, basic search criteria to work off of. So let's go ahead and save this one because this will be our base one. One thing that's a good idea is to always prefix your searches with some kind of acronym. That way you can always find the ones that you've created. I'm going to go ahead and use GHS because that's Galen Healthcare Services. It'll be easy for us to look and find it later. So I'm going to go ahead and call it patient alive and active. Search category, just put in development. And I always suggest, putting a description. These searches are going to be evolving, becoming more complex. You won't be able to fit it all in the search name eventually at some point. So I say, put in the description, and then whenever it changes, just change a little piece as opposed to getting to a point where you're not even sure exactly what it is. But for now, this is just a patient is alive and active. Go ahead and save that off. Don't worry about adding to any security group. That's not anything we have to concern ourselves with. And you go ahead and hit OK. So now our search is in context for our worksheet, and I'm going to go ahead and hit play right here. This run button is going to go ahead and run it, and it's going to display all those results. So as you can see, there's a lot of results that come up immediately. It's going to give you all your ones that have ICD-9 diagnosis codes, and it's ordered in a random fashion. It's whichever way you want it. I'm going to go ahead and go A to Z over here with patient full name. A couple things to note. You're able to just sort things in whichever manner you like, and the problems are going to be unique to certain problems that they had. So maybe they've been diagnosed with the problem multiple times, and that's why you might see it more than once, whereas you're only going to see it aligned to that patient for that one instance. And one thing that's really helpful you'll see is this button right here next to the binoculars. Is going to be able to toggle between your full screen and your edit mode. So I always hit that pretty much right away because that immediately pulls my tree back and what I'm actually trying to display on my worksheet. So that's all fine and dandy, but let's go ahead and go one level deeper here where we actually want to do a nested search that I was talking about. So we're talking about a search that's a subset of another search. So the search that we're going to do that's going to be a subset of another search is going to be the parent search, so to speak, is going to be this alive and active search that we just created. What we want to do, let's only bring back people that have had more than one problem. So as you can see, there's a number of ones here that have only had one problem. Jack Bergen has only had sinusitis. So let's say we're not concerned with patients that have only had one problem. We want people that have multiple problems. So we go ahead and do this. We anticipate not seeing Jack after we do this new search. So I'm going to click search here, and I'm going to go ahead and do a new search. We don't need to save the current search. We've already saved it. It always prompts you for that. So the first thing you want to do is up at the top here, you'll see nested search, stack search. I'm going to go ahead and drop the tree back down for us and click nested search. So the way it works is you actually have to pick one of your saved searches, or you can build it on the fly right there to be your parent search of what the main subset's going to be of. So I'm going to go ahead and click that button right there, and we're going to find the object GHS that we just created, patient alive and active. That's our parent search. We want them to have, so of whatever you pick below it, it needs to be within this group already. So any patients that have greater than 1, and let's go ahead, maximize problem, and let's look at problem category. Anybody who has more than one type of problem category is going to be shown, and anyone that doesn't won't be. The next step you have to do is, if you look up here, you see step 1, step 2. Step 2 is you're actually going to have to be able to associate your parent search to your subset search. So you need a unique identifier that's common across both. In this case, it's going to be the patient's ID. The patient's ID will be the same in both searches. So if I just maximize identification and pull patient ID, double click it twice, goes into parent and child, hit OK. Yes, we would like to save this because this is another one that we'd like to use. Let's call this GHS, preface it once again, nested problem search category development. And here is what I'm talking about where we want to build the description up every time because you can't necessarily fit it in the name. So this will be a nested problem search, patient alive and active and has greater than one problem category. Hit OK. Don't add in any security groups. And let's go ahead and play it again and see if we only get people that have multiple problems now. And as you can see, Jack Bergen's gone. All the people that are left up there actually have multiple different types of problems here. So that basically is the way it works. Once again, just to reiterate this, I hit that toggle button. I just always like to be able to see my tree on the left as well as whatever I'm looking at, because we can always fit the information there on the right. So that goes ahead and that tackles a couple of pieces we wanted to look at, which were nested searches, searches in general, as well as worksheets. I think the piece that's going to be a little more interesting is going to be when we start talking about the analysis, which is the crosstabs, where you get a higher level view, and then you can start drilling into anomalies. This is what I think analytics is actually a little bit more powerful for. So I'm going to go ahead and close this one out. You can save it if you like. I'm not going to bother saving this one. I'm just going to go ahead and start a new one here.